Hi, my name is Marissa Rotolo, and I am talking about my case review with my primary patient, Gio Lee Smith. So, Gio Lee Smith is a 10-year-old boy who was recently diagnosed with leukemia. He has a sister named Sophia, she's 6 years old, and a mom and dad. Her mom's name is Maya, she's a pediatric nurse, and her dad's name is David, and he's a high school teacher. First, I'm just going to cover the what I did with Gio this semester and how my case review panned out. At 10 years old, Gio is currently in Erickson's industry versus inferiority stage. At this age, children strive to gain a sense of competence through learning, productivity, and social interaction. But Gio has expressed fears about not being normal, which indicates an emerging threat to his developing identity and his sense of mastery. With that, I did the Bofenbrenner's ecological systems theory with Gio, because his illness ultimately affects his physical well-being, his family dynamics, and his psychological development, and then also broader social context. So as a child life specialist, it is of the utmost importance that I understand these dynamics and I have access to it throughout my time with him and his family. I talked about his microsystem, which includes his immediate environments. So that's like his parents, his sister, the medical team, and a school. And Gio currently has anxiety surrounding his medical procedures and changes in appearance. And also just like this lingering fear of being in the hospital because he's 10 and he really hasn't been around it that much. And this has ultimately affected his confidence in his routine. Additionally, his younger sister, Sophia, is also affected by this because she's showing curiosity and potential emotional strain. I would provide him with expressive play opportunities, which I will get into. One of them is the intervention, which is a storybook. So foster a similar opportunity for Sophia and give her the same kind of intervention approaches. And I would also provide their parents with an opportunity to receive coaching, talk through it, validate their emotions, and let them feel so that they could be in full support of Gio as he goes through this diagnosis. So for his mesosystem, he's impacted by his microsystems interacting. So for example, the coordination between hospital staff and Gio's school, which are vital to maintaining his developmental continuity. I would also want to emphasize the importance of facilitating conversations between healthcare providers and his family during medical rounds and planning meetings and making sure that everyone has an opportunity to just stay in the loop, because when a family's going through something like this, it sounds silly, but communication is the most important thing. Gio's exosystem refers to one or more settings that do not involve the developing person as an active participant, but indirectly have an impact. So for Gio, these indirect features include parental work environments and extended family. So Gio's mom, Maya, is a pediatric nurse, and Maya is currently balancing professional knowledge with personal emotional strain. And his father, David, is a teacher, with ADHD, and he expresses stress navigating his son's needs. So in this case, I would provide the family with support by creating a space where the family has access to hospital social work services, like a support group or workplace communication guidance, that kind of thing. Also, they have a space to express any concern that they have, whether that's a positive, whether that's a negative, whether that's them feeling like they're really overwhelmed and they can't handle the day and they just want a cup of coffee, anything. His macrosystem includes his age, which is 10 years old, and his religious affiliations. So on societal level, Gio's identity as a young boy in an upper middle class, non-denominational Christian family influences the family, how the family navigates illness. And as a child life specialist, my role would be to include respecting the family's values and encouraging spirituality or faith-based coping mechanisms if they so desire. Additionally, it would be important for me to have a conversation with Gio's parents about their gendered expectations that might influence Gio's emotional expression, so that I can fully validate a full range of feelings while still respecting his family's expectations. So lastly, with the ecological systems theory, is his chronosystem, which reflects change over time. Gio's leukemia diagnosis represents a significant disruption to his typical childhood development, and especially in a phase where peer interactions and autonomy are central, Erickson's industry versus inferiority stage. So at this rate, my support would be to include long-term engagement and therapeutic play and story-based projects that evolve his treatment with his journey of his family and his routine, and making sure that he still has a sense of self and stability, and he's getting that like level of autonomy that he needs. So this kind of brings me into my hands-on intervention, which is my storybook. So I had previously talked about this in a different paper, but basically I had an idea to create a comic book with Gio where he's the superhero, and the superhero feats that he's going through are going through chemo. But basically, the purpose of this intervention is to provide Gio with safe, imaginative space to explore his feelings and fears surrounding this tough situation for him. And it's also to help him externalize and gain mastery over his cancer experience and turning it into a superhero narrative, which helps him emotionally express himself, give him resilience, and cope through creative storytelling. And it also strengthens the bonding with his family because he's able to incorporate them in these stories, but also able to like get a sense of how he's feeling. So basically I have Gio create his own superhero. This is him. This is what I came up with. And in this story, which also something that I like about the comic book intervention strategy is that comic books are series. So just because we wrote one book doesn't mean the story's ending, and we can continue to write these books over whatever fears he's having, whether that's getting an IV, fear of like the tourniquet, or going into chemo or like group therapy. We could literally over and over create a story for Gio. Captain Gio is what his hero name is. The shadow cells, which are the leukemia cells, are attacking the city, which is Gio's body. And so then Gio has these laser powers that can help save the city, which is also Gio. But then we talk about how afterwards the Captain Gio is pretty sleepy and his superhero stuff is really hard work, but that's totally okay because he's working hard to save his city. Next page we have that Captain Gio has a team of shield protectors, which are his family, who help him emotionally and meet his needs that way. And then he also has a team of Nova nurses, which is the medical staff, who are helping him supply the rays for him, helping him through the rays, giving him a place to sleep when he's tired after. Play with him. I have like a little bear in my hand. And then a sidekick sister to help him with all of his hero tasks. So Sophia is included in every aspect as well. And the last part of the first comic series is that the battle isn't over, but Captain Gio is strong. So anytime that Gio's about to go into chemotherapy, we could pull out this book and remind him exactly what his body's doing in a way that kind of speaks his language and allows him to be imaginative. One thing I like about this intervention strategy is that I'm not hiding anything that's happening with Gio. We're talking about the cancer cells in the city. We're talking about the laser beams and what that does and how that might affect him with the sleepiness. But we're also showing him that he's resilient and putting it in a way that it's like, well, a superhero, it's a hard task, but you can do it and you can get through it and we can get through it together. It draws on narrative play and therapeutic play principles, which allows Gio to process his experiences indirectly and gain a sense of control, and also give him a sense of autonomy for like what it is that he's exactly going through. So all in all, in Gio's So overall, I really enjoyed working this project throughout the whole semester. I think that it gives you a really good insight into how to think quick on your feet, and also how to really get in the mind of the family that you're working with, and to really get to know the family and what they're going through and who they are before the diagnosis, so that going through the diagnosis is a little bit easier, hopefully. And again, my job isn't to heal, but it's to help. And I think that this really shows you how you can help and makes it a little bit more real.